What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Kong Supernova news and updates. Today we are jumping on into our very first ever set photos, our first set photos from Godzilla Kong Supernova that reveal what might be one of the main action sequences in the movie. I actually have a bet on where that action sequence is going to come in, I'll tell you when I get there, but it could reveal a big action sequence in the movie. It does reveal a big location, and we have some other stuff like maybe some teasers or hints to Jaguar. Let's talk about it. Starting out with some artwork like always, this first piece comes to us from DJ Tusk Goji, or Edit Sutton. Longtime viewer, I feel like I remember you going way back. Thank you for all the support over the years. Sutton responded to a recent video where I talked about maybe something's coming from the moon. It's something I've been talking about in a couple videos. Our first hints came from Dan Stevens using the song about moons and monsters, and then of course in one of our recent news and updates, we talked about how there are some other hints from both KDM and Godzilla Kong Titan Chasers that something's gonna be coming from the moon. In response, Tusk released this epic image of Space Godzilla on the moon, but he actually explained this comes from a project that they worked on a few years ago, where in their MonsterVerse story, Space Godzilla used the moon as a charging station before heading to Earth. That is an awesome idea. I love that so much. I think that is so cool. I would think that could be an incredibly exciting and terrifying plot line to find out that Space Godzilla is essentially terraforming the moon and then is going to come wage war on humanity. I think that is awesome, and I also really love your Space Godzilla design. I'm definitely stealing this image and using it in thumbnails. That is so freaking sick, dude. Next up, Deep People wound up like shocking and disturbing the entire fan base with their artwork that looks so high quality. A lot of people thought it was concept art. I think mostly because it reflects the style of Matt Alsop's artwork, and so it felt very real. It looks very Matt Alsop to me, and Matt Alsop is one of my favorite concept artists for the MonsterVerse, and this artwork definitely gives that vibe. This first piece, I think it's supposed to represent Space Godzilla coming down from the sky. I think those are heaves flying around through the air there, but it looks like we're in a city and just in enormous shadowy figures coming down from the sky, very cosmic horror-esque. And then we've got this one, which is insane, of Shimo getting pierced straight through the body and killed with all of these crystals. Obviously, a lot of people think that Shimo might die in this next movie. Well, I'm not expecting Shimo to die. I could see it happening. It would be the easy way out with a character that overpowered to just kill them off. Also would establish how big of a threat your bad guy is and prove you're not a very creative writer. So I could see them going that route, but I hope not. But yeah, that artwork is pretty shocking. And then this one of Kong laying dead amongst all of these destroyed buildings. A lot of people thought that this was leaked concept art for the movie. It is not leaked concept art for the movie. This is just fan art, but it is very high quality. It reminds me a lot of the leaked concept art for Godzilla 2014 / Godzilla King of the Monsters. If you remember back in the Godzilla 2 mystery days, there was concept art of Ghidorah coming invading Earth, ripping apart Anguruses, like tearing them into pieces. It was pretty brutal artwork, but it was pretty epic. And a lot of people also thought that was leaked concept art as well. All right, getting into it, this is a very strange one. Sam Neill, what are you doing, you little freak? What is this video he posted on TikTok where he's standing there, he says he's hanging out with his buddy, he thinks it's his co-star, but he's not sure, and then we pan out to reveal this weird little robot Gundam thing while the Transformers music plays. What's up with that? A lot of people are like, oh yeah, because Sam Neill's gonna be in the next MonsterVerse movie. This is it. This is confirmation Sam Neill is gonna have something to do with Jaguar, or at the very least, he's teasing that Jaguar is gonna be in the next MonsterVerse movie. You guys have seen my thoughts on Jaguar appearing in the next MonsterVerse movie. Obviously, I did a video ranting about how I hate the idea of Trapper being Jaguar. I will say, as long as he's not Trapper and they do him right, I don't care. This thing does remind me of Jaguar from Singular Point at the end of the day. But maybe I'm crazy here. I don't think this has anything to do with Godzilla at all. Despite the fact that I saw so many people clickbaiting online that Sam Neill just teased Jaguar is going to be in the next movie, I don't think this has anything to do with Jaguar. Just because Sam Neill's in Godzilla doesn't mean he's not in other movies movies as well, and in fact, if you read the description, it says, "I had a chance encounter today. Seemed like an old familiar. Then again, it was kinda early, and maybe I was confused. Or not." The hashtags are creatine, Transformers, fake news, and milkshake men, Eurovision, and where in the world am I? Those are the real hashtags that this man used. Outside of the Godzilla fanbase, I've seen many people speculate that this means Sam Neill is teasing that he will appear in a future Transformers movie. I'll be 100% with you. Hashtag Gojo and milkshake men and fake news and creatine. I think the dude's just a silly, goofy little guy. I think he's just doing memes. I don't think he's teasing anything about Godzilla at all. I don't think he's teasing anything at all, let alone Godzilla or Transformers. I don't think this means much. I think he's just being silly goofy. I'll also point out, for good measure, it could be a mech in the MonsterVerse. Maybe he is teasing a new mech coming to the MonsterVerse. That doesn't mean it has to be Jaguar. Yeah, some people noticed that the color scheme of this robot is vaguely Jaguar and that it has a lot of red on it, but other than that, not at all. It could just be teasing an unknown mech. If we're gonna say that this is anything Godzilla related, could just be teasing an unknown mech in the new movie. Obviously, they could take Mechagodzilla's parts and rebuild them the way they did back with Mecha King Ghidorah, turning him into Mechagodzilla in the Heisei series. Maybe they turn Mechagodzilla into something else. Or, you know, when Mechagodzilla blows up, they rebuild Mechagodzilla into Moguera. Maybe there's gonna be a Moguera. I would honestly more likely believe that Moguera will appear in the new MonsterVerse movie, especially given all the space Godzilla teases, considering Moguera goes head to head with Godzilla, and Moguera is obviously like, it's a Mechagodzilla type vehicle that can make it into space, it can fly around in space, it can fight space Godzilla, and it's in the movie with space Godzilla, and it's piloted by G-Force itself. So there's so many more reasons why I would think it would be Moguera over Jaguar, character who appeared in one movie and one TV show. I guess Moguera appeared in 2 movies and that's it, but Jaguar appeared in 1 movie and 1 TV show, was almost universally looked at as an enormous joke and an entirely like horrible, worthless part of the Godzilla series until very recently when people started to come around on the poor guy. But my point is, I don't think they're licensing Jaguar, the one that people remember as the silliest, worst Godzilla movie, over Moguera, who's actually in the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla movie, and I don't think they're licensing either. I don't think this means anything. I don't think it means anything. Despite how many reports I saw of people claiming that it was a teasing Jaguar, I don't think it is. This location actually has been found. 8Common found it. It's in the Philippines. I don't know what Sam Neill's doing in the Philippines. They're not shooting Godzilla in the Philippines, and in fact, in just like days after he posted this, he had to fly over and start shooting in Queensland, Australia, because yeah, that's right, filming began. Filming officially began on Godzilla Kong Supernova on a big open street with a big public display. I will go more in detail in the next news and updates for Godzilla Kong Supernova, but for now, this was the first set photo we got of these massive light blockers being used on set. These look like they could be a reflector on the front, but what we are seeing is the dampening side of it. Either way, it's enormous crane. This is mostly just to control the amount of light going into your frame. It could either bounce light in or block light out. There's also a big blue screen hung up in the background. In it, we see a couple tanks, a couple military-esque vehicles, which I'm going to speculate in the next video, I think is a brand new force. I think it's a brand new team entering the chat here. I think it's going to be a new global military force like G-Force was in the Heisei continuity, although I do not think it's building off of G-Team from Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think it is a brand new organization. We can also see a little police car. All of this, I believe, is all from the film itself. Somehow, some way, from this set photo, people were able to deduce that this is London. This is supposed to be London right here. I don't know what gave it away, maybe the license plates, I don't know, but this is supposed to be London, but it was filmed in Queensland. We actually, thank you, I believe, to Mr. Goji who found this, have a bit of an idea of where they filmed this and what was going on. So, a little release was given out, a public event notice was sent out for William Street, Stephen Street, and Queen's Guard in Queensland, Australia. They were also somewhere on the wharf in the area, the Queensland Wharf. Production took place from 6 a.m. Sunday, May 18th to 10 p.m. Wednesday, May 21st. That includes setup, prepping the streets, and teardown, cleaning the streets. They weren't filming that entire time. Obviously, they have to take breaks for night and people have to go to bed, or if it's a night shoot, they have to sleep during the day. They're not working people 24/7 around the clock here. This notice was sent out on behalf of Zeus Productions, and this sequence includes special effects smoke and spot fires, and we can actually see both of those in this photo. You can see a lot of smoke around, and you can see this little fire burning right in front of the truck here, in front of some some military rubble. This is our first ever look at where we're going in this next movie. I'm gonna hope that we spend less time in the Hollow Earth in Fantasyland running around who knows where, and spend more time on the surface. One of my favorite parts of the MonsterVerse was that we got to see cities being destroyed that we never got to see destroyed in Godzilla films before. Whether it was San Francisco or Boston or Hong Kong, Godzilla Kong the New Empire visited a lot of cities. Obviously we saw Rome destroyed, we visited somewhere in Italy I think, and then we also visited Rio, but in my opinion those sequences were all very brief and didn't really emphasize the city destruction in a way that a kaiju movie should. They were just set pieces and didn't actually matter. They're supposed to be big deals. We're supposed to love seeing these iconic landmarks get smashed. I actually think that the Rome sequence does the best job in the New Empire, showing iconic landmarks getting destroyed and featuring the city itself. That's so much of the fun of kaiju movies, and I feel like we really lost that in the New Empire, so I'm hoping here we get that back. The last kaiju film I can remember that headed to London was actually Gorgo, so it could be cool to see Godzilla appear in London and maybe get some recreation shots referencing those Gorgo moments. That'd be sick. Also, Mr. Goji connected it to Space Godzilla attacking London in one of the Godzilla comics, which is pretty fun. Maybe again another teaser that Space Godzilla will show up. I personally actually think that while London will be featured in the movie in this destruction scene, I would guess it'll probably be in a sequence more like the Rome scene. I don't know what gives me that impression. This just doesn't strike me as finale. This doesn't strike me as this is the finale of the movie. This strikes me as like this is probably going to be an earlier sequence, and if it was up to me, this would be a sequence just like what we saw with Godzilla and Scylla, although hopefully more drawn out and less of montage version, but more of like an actual full-fledged action sequence. I would love to see Godzilla showing up and defending another city at the start of the movie, where it's like Godzilla shows up and he takes on some other kaiju in this city, this other city attacks going on, or if we got to see maybe, which is kind of my guess based on some of the other footage we'll talk about in the next video, maybe it'll be like this new military force actually having an effect on a Titan attack. Maybe they're actually able to repel one. Maybe they have new weapons that can repel a Titan, new sonic weapons or new orcas or something, and they pull off a victory here. As we'll talk about in the next one, I do think a big victory occurs on these streets, and I don't think it's the finale of the movie type victory. I guess it could be though. It could always be that the final sequence of this movie takes place in London. I'm gonna think not though. I don't really know why, I'm just not getting that vibe, but it could be. King of the Monsters' first couple days of shooting publicly were the Boston destruction sequences, so it always could be. But I would love to see London get attacked. I don't think it's gonna be Space Godzilla attacking. I think it'd be a little more apocalyptic than just like a little bit of a destruction that we see here. I think if Space Godzilla was here, it'd be a lot more devastating. I would also like to see maybe it just like is a straight up enemy monster attacking the city for a little while before something else happens. And that's another thing that I feel like the MonsterVerse has never really given us a ton of, is monsters destroying cities as set pieces in and of themselves. Obviously everybody loves Godzilla's attack on Ginza in -1, and the Muchos only barely touch the places they go, like Las Vegas. King of the Monsters shows a couple buildings getting destroyed in a couple cities, which was fun. GVK really put the emphasis on the smackdown on Hong Kong, which was awesome. And New Empire montaged its way through Rome and Italy, and we barely got to spend enough time in Rio. So I would really like to see some more grand scale for these destruction sequences like what you see in Toho films. Either way, that's very exciting, and I'm all for it. I cannot wait to see what else happens in this movie. I love the MonsterVerse continuing to go international, and I can't wait. What do you guys think about all this? Comment below and let me know. Are you thinking it's gonna be Sam Neill teasing Jaguar, and what do you think of us heading to London? I would love to hear your thoughts. I also want to shout out WhiteFang5406 for getting to my last video first. Thank you for being part of D-Force and having the notifications on for my videos. I also want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to continue to make videos like this in the first place for you. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. And if that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out.